Don't let anyone steal your joy, stop you from doing whatever you want to do. And they will give you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, but don't listen. That formula worked for one NBA star, and it's one of the reasons why he made it to the top. Diving into the business of CJ McCollum. Coming up, you're in the Enterprise Zone at the Nasdaq. Hello everyone, it's Jabari Young, senior writer at Forbes, and I am joined by a special guest here on the Enterprise Zone, CJ McCollum. That's right, a pro in the league right now, NBA pro. I can call you a vet, man, because it's been over 10 years that you've been.
Time is flying. It's
crazy.
It is,
man.
When I met you, I was a baby face, short hair, had the East Snow even all the way around.
Man, yes.
Pencil mustache, no hair.
Yeah, drafted in 2013, first round pick, man, played for the Portland Trailblazers, now with the New Orleans Pelicans. For now, NBA offseason, man, you never know what it's going to be for now, right?
Sick for now.
It's for now, man. But thank you for making the trip, man, coming all the way up here from New Orleans, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. I appreciate you having me, man. We both come a long way to see you sitting here with Forbes from the rooftop at Departure at the Nines Hotel to
Don't be giving away our spots, though, man. You can't do that. It's public. You can't give away. But that was a great time, man. I mean, and for those people who don't know, I covered this man since he was drafted. 2013 is when you were drafted, and I was covering the Spurs, and I leave and go to Portland, and then you're there, man. So to see your rise, to see how much you've grown, to see, when you were there, were you injured, right? Driving a nice car, I ain't gonna tell them which one it is, but you were injured, man, and now you were coming into your own, man, and now to see that you're a vet on the New Orleans Pelicans, it's a real pleasure, man. A lot of guys don't even get to 10 years, and here you are approaching maybe 20.
I don't know if I'm gonna get to 20 now. I just finished 12, heading to 13. I'm excited. I'll be 34 in September, and the way the league has shifted, the way the game is being played now compared to how it was played when I first got into the league, and to be the oldest on the team now, and I remember I was the youngest, it's just kind of, really cool to see, and now I feel like it's life coming full circle, and you understand your body, you understand your mind a little bit better, you understand your preparation, and now having a family, having a wife, and having kids, it's crazy to see how I feel like I wasted time. You feel like you wasted some time in terms of sleeping in, to 9 or 10, like that never happens now, and being able to kind of prioritize better with a family is something that I'm really proud of. Yeah, man. Again, it's been such a long journey, but again, we're here at this. Is the first time that you're at the Nasdaq, right? First time.
I did it. I cracked you at the Nasdaq, man. Look at that. It's the first time for everything, and you can say when you passed this place that it was because you came here to the show to get into the Nasdaq. I appreciate that. Again, man, you coming. Where we're here. Give me a stock, man. What has worked well for CJ McCollum? Like, what is something even that you're maybe even looking to buy or that's done well by you over these years?
I literally called my financial advisor this morning, and I was telling him I was coming here, and we were going through our portfolio.
Talking about the loan that I asked you for? That was
okay.
Yeah.
You want a grant, not a loan. The loan you got to pay back. You probably want a grant.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
We have a well-balanced portfolio, but we were talking just a little bit about the impact AI is having on society now, and we're talking about NVIDIA. Obviously, everybody has the Googles, the Microsofts, we have a lot of Oracle, but we have a well-balanced portfolio that I would say is moderately aggressive. Obviously, I'm still young, and hopefully I have 40, 50, 60 years left of productivity and a healthy quality of life. But I think for us, it's about base hits and doubles. I'm in probably on the higher side alternatives, probably 7 to 10%. Obviously, I'm in the wine business. We have McCollum Harris 91, and we have our family wine.
Yeah.
We produce wine from our estate, 318 acres. We have 56 planted acres. So a bulk of our alternatives comes in the call it the food and beverage, the wine, agriculture, farm sector. We have a nursery. And then obviously, there's the real estate and those things, but we learn a little bit more about venture and just kind of dabbling in different areas. But I think the key is, base hits and singles. And if you follow the big stocks, you follow the ones that everyone has historically followed, you generally can't go wrong. Obviously, there's some stuff going on with the government. There's a lot of, issues with, the relationship between some of the higher ups that have been publicized, and that's kind of done some damage to Tesla and some of the other, big corporations. But generally speaking, Google and the rest of those, Microsoft, Apple,
and NVIDIA, as you said, NVIDIA, I'm sure. I don't have any NVIDIA stock, but I have to get some, I guess, because it's the future.
Yeah, they say buy in the dip. Right now it's popping.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I got to get into that. Your soundtrack to 2025, man. What's been keeping you motivated and positive as you're approaching now the off season, and getting your mind and your body right to go through another year? Because as well as I do, man, it's gonna come like that.
It goes so quick, man. I listen to a lot of J. Cole. J. Cole's probably my favorite artist. Obviously, I love Drake, Hove. You know, you're a Philly guy. I listen to some old Meek, but I'm an old soul. So Sade, Aretha Franklin, Al Green, Temptations, Ohio players. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a really old soul, and the rhythm, the blues, all those things, you know, it kind of calms my soul and keeps me even keel. When you got kids, you got more than one kid in the house. You got a lot of moving parts. You got nap time. You got temper tantrums. It's like peaceful and soothing for them to be able to hear music throughout the day, and it's good for my soul too.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So you walk into a class, right, and you know maybe it's a class of third graders, and they don't know who you are. They says, "What do you do, CJ McCollum?" Or you just say, "It's an easy answer for you. I play in the NBA, right?" That should get an instant answer.
Yeah,
that's what you tell them.
Well, I historically, you know, I work for ESPN. I'm the president of the Players Association. I used to work for ESPN. I took the year off, and I'm big in journalism. I have a real care and passion for kids. Obviously, I do work with the Boys and Girls Club. We have the McCollum Scholars Program where we sent, 11 kids to college and kind of, did wraparound service in terms of education, in terms of mentorship. We'll provide internship, externship support, whether that's travel, housing, lodging. We're doing Zoom calls and introducing them to people that are in their career fields and majors. My wife's a dentist, so we do a lot of dental work and provide care in partnership with Thrive and the Children's Hospital, where we go around to preschools and provide care and provide instructions and provide resources. So, we have our hands in a lot of different pots. Obviously, I play in the NBA, and that's how, I'm able to provide for our family, but I'm also a farmer. I'm a vintner. So
which one are you telling me? I'm a businessman who happens to play basketball.
I like to maximize the talents that God has given me, and I think it's really good for my mind to have to process different things, to have to kind of strategize, and idle time is the devil, so I try to stay busy.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Well, before we jump into more business, man, because I definitely want to get in your portfolio, a lot to kind of discuss, but your NBA offseason's here, right? In the last year of your deal, players traditionally don't like to go into their last years of their deal, right? And so they're up in the front office because I get it. You can get injured, and then that changes things. Like, have you talked to Joe Dumars? Like, what's that conversation? Are you guaranteed to be back? I got to ask you, man. Like, what is that?
There are no guarantees in life. I spoke to Joe right before his press conference, before he became the executive vice president of the Pelicans. And we obviously have a great relationship that dates back. I actually worked out for the Pistons back in 2013.
I remember, yeah. And he didn't draft you then?
No, he didn't. He took Tavius Caldwell-Pope. Shout out to KCP. And I'm unsure of the future. I think they still have some things they need to figure out. Obviously, I love New Orleans. My family loves New Orleans, and we'd like to be there, for the foreseeable future. But you never know what's going to happen in the business. And obviously, I've played for one other team, being the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think the good thing about the NBA is that, there's always opportunities, whether that's with your team or another team. If you do things the right way, if you work hard, there's always somebody out there kind of watching and critiquing from afar that may admire your game and want you to be a part of what they're building. So hopefully it's in New Orleans, but you just never know in this business. And my family is prepared to do whatever is necessary for the greater good of my career. My wife has done a tremendous job of sacrificing. There's a lot of travel. There's a lot of late night workouts, 2-a-days, 3-a-days, and, for her to be able to kind of put her career in the back burner and allow me to kind of really try to maximize this window of opportunity where, for us, this is our highest earning potential.
That's right.
Our 20 to 35, call it 20 to 40 for Bron, right? Or 18 to 40. But this is our highest earning potential. And then we have the rest of our lives, outside of 40 years old to kind of figure out what's next. And really trying to maximize this window, play as long as I can, as long as I'm productive, and as long as my kids aren't, getting too old. And then I'll shut it down and figure out what's next.
Do you have an age in mind? Like, all right, I think I'm going to be done at this time, or how many more years you want to play?
Well, when I first got into the league, I was like, all right, 10 years, I can get my 401k, I get benefits for myself, insurance, and all of those things for not only myself, my spouse, right, my wife, and my kids. And now I'm going into year 13, and now it's just more about as long as I love the game, I'll continue to play. When it becomes work, when it becomes a job, where there's days where I, really don't feel like I have that same desire, that's probably when I walk away, or when my son is like 8, and right now he's 3. So
that's 5 more years you got.
That takes me to like 39. My brother's 37. He's probably going to sign a 1+1, and that'll take him to 39. So he's like my gauge as to how my body will feel, how my mind will feel. And I think, God willing, I'd say at least 38.
38.
So that gives me 4 more.
4 more years, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Have a number in mind, you know what I mean? But
You
what
never
happens
know.
is you get there and you still feel like you can go, and, why not, right?
I mean, the jump shot never leaves, so I think it's just more about the mind. It's the mind and the body taking care of it, and then
the travel.
We miss a lot of important moments, man. Like,
I was with y'all. I know. I missed the times when my daughter was getting older and putting her sentences together. I was out there with y'all on the road.
I've been fortunate to be able to see both my kids walk, like the first steps, but, birthday parties, school plays, all of those things, the first practice, like I want to be able to drive them to practice. Fortunately, we don't practice until noon, so I can do drop off and pick up sometimes. But I want to be a part of all of those moments, and those 9-day trips, those 10-day trips, you come back and your kid is different.
Yeah, take a hold on you, man. Listen, before, again, jumping into your career and business side, take a look at the current business that you're in the league, right? The headwinds and the tailwinds of the business. I was calling around, and I was talking to someone last night, and I said, I got CJ McCollum coming up, an executive. I said, what would you ask him? He says, really ask him about the current structure of the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah.
And what is the balance of funding the stars as well as funding the middle class tier of players? Because with all this money now coming around, one can assume that stars are going to get much more money and the middle class may get, priced out. Lower guys may get priced out as the contracts get bigger, because the NBA has essentially managed to mitigate the difference between large and small markets. And so they're doing so on the backs of the middle class players. So how do you guys look? How are you looking as a president of the Players Association? How are you looking at this CBA, and as to get more specific, that apron system, which is going to hurt people?
Well, I think it depends on how you look at it, right? So first of all, the collective bargaining agreement was agreed to by all 30 teams, right? It's not like an agreement that I just wrote out and said, hey, I want this second apron, I want to do all these things. It was agreed upon by all the teams for the betterment of the league. They were trying to build the league out. They wanted to be more competitive. Structurally, building out rosters is a little bit more difficult. Obviously, trades. There's things that we may have missed in this CBA that we may have to correct, obvioly. But time will tell as you kind of go about trades, right? Trying to conduct certain trades. How do you get down to a certain number? How do you get up? Dollar for dollar. The penalties associated with going into the tax, the penalties associated with being in the second apron versus the third apron. There's some things that we may need to tighten up, and obviously we're going to continue to have conversations with general managers, with the executives to kind of figure out the tax structure and how to continue to grow the league wholly. But if you look at who's in the finals right now, right? OKC has, the MVP, right? Shea's going to make 70 to 80 million a year, right? They have Chet Holmgren, but without the likes of an Alex Caruso, without the likes of, some of those role players that they have. Obviously, they got J-Dub. They've drafted well. They've been patient. They've been able to really transform this roster from, the KD, Russ days to obviously, bringing in CP, like having some of those vets to kind of mentor and teetering around under 500, 500, over 500 now, arguably the best team, probably the best team in the NBA right now after they win this championship. I think you look at how they built the roster, you need top to bottom. And it's structurally on these organizations, and it's on us to kind of figure out how do we continue to protect the middle class, right? Obviously, the money is going up for max players. The vet minimum's going up. How do we continue to protect the middle class? And that's conversations with ownership. That's conversations with different teams, with our players, figuring out how do we make it better for everybody. And it takes time. You don't get everything right the first time around, and you have to learn to grow. And now these teams are having to project, right? Like, what does this roster look like 3 years from now? When we make a trade right now, how does that impact our future? You look at the Orlando Magic, right? They make the trade with the Grizzlies. Financially, they're looking at their roster. How do they build out the roster? They got Ja. They got obviously the big fella who's really good, but they're also going to make a lot of money. So how do you build out a roster? How important are your picks? How important is your window? Indiana hasn't gone to the tax in the last 20 years. I bet you they're going to consider going to the tax after a finals appearance.
Are they though?
I mean, you have to capitalize.
It's a small market team, and they traditionally don't do that. And Minnesota's a classic example. They traded away Karl Anthony Towns, and they did so for possible reasons that they made money, but it cost them money.
But you don't understand we're not with these organizations, so it's hard to be able to judge. We're watching from afar, right? Like judging them from afar. Every team has a window. And honestly, looking at the NBA, we've had these conversations in other sports. How many teams actually have a chance to win a championship every year in baseball, basketball, football? How many teams, you look at the roster when the season starts and you say, they have a roster that can win a championship? 5 to 8, 8 to 10. How many are really serious? How many owners are really, really serious about winning a championship and will do whatever it takes, whether that's spending money, facilities, bringing in players, bringing in role players, bringing in the right types of vets, giving up picks now to win now? Like, how many teams are really invested? How many teams say they want to win? How many teams are cool with being under 500? How many teams are losing strategically on purpose? Like, look at the NBA in totality and then figure out how many are really trying to win. If you're really trying to win, that means you capitalize in your windows. Every year isn't your window. You have windows of opportunity where maybe it's Darren Peterson, right? Yeah. Shout out to my guy from Ohio. Like, you have good drafts that are approaching where teams are strategically getting off players or strategically trying to figure out how to get younger, which is probably going to equate to more losses. Then you have teams that want veterans and star players and the right role players because now is the time to win. Minnesota, right? Ant's young, but a player like, I'm not going to name him, could really help their team, right? In terms of pieces that they're missing. But what do you have to give up to get that, and what is your window, I think, is the key. But if you go to the finals, chances are you're going to do everything in your power to give it another shot.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
You would think.
It's not my money. I don't want to count other people's money, but I think there's things that we've done well with the NBA and the CBA, and there's things that we can improve upon, and we're going to have the dialogue and the conversations. And this is a player-driven league, and we understand that. Without our players, there is no league.
That's right.
So it's not about what CJ wants. It's not about that. It's about what is going to be best for our players. So we're having the dialogue and the conversations. I'm not a dictator. It's a democracy, and I want to do whatever is best for the players. And if they have ideas or suggestions, I'm here. If the agents want to speak to me, I'm here. I've had the same number since I was 10 years old. I'm not changing it. So I think it's about the dialogue that we can have. But structurally speaking, everybody is making more money. The contracts are just changing. And people and teams are trying to figure out strategically how to project going forward and how to operate in these new parameters that we've never had before.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, too, are you guys getting advised in the Players Union about the new media deals and what those new revenue streams could be? Because that's all a part of BRI. And you're shifting from linear media to more of a streaming world, and that's a different set of rules, right? Are you guys talking to someone about how do you guys counter? Because the NBA, you got to think, those owners are thinking about this, right? And they're looking at new media versus old, but are you guys strategically talking to consultants about how to deal with it?
We're in a really great position, and Andre Iguodala has done a great job, as executive director in leadership and surrounding us with the right resources, with the right consultants, but also understanding the game of basketball, I think, is truly important and underrated aspect of this game. He's played it. He obviously has his business acumen on the side, but he understands the direction that we're going. We understand where we're at right now, and the league has been a great partner of ours. I have a great relationship with Adam, and he's done a tremendous job. You look at the TV deal that we just received, right? You look at baseball, you look at some of those other sports and what's kind of happening in their agreements or partnerships with, big partners. And for Adam to be able to get us that type of deal, understanding where we're going in this world with, cable television not being a priority. You have these cell phones, you have your iPad, like everybody is watching on the go. They're downloading packages, there's YouTube TV, there's Amazon. I'm a Browns fan, right? So think about all the ways I have to watch my Cleveland Browns.
Right.
I think we have one nationally televised game this upcoming season. Shout out to Shador. But I think looking at where we're heading globally, it's important that we maximize all eyeballs, and it's hard to really compare ratings year over year, right? Because the way you watch the game when Jordan played, like in the airports and all those things, you couldn't just pop on your cell phone and watch. And now they're comparing, the finals now to finals 10 years ago, and it's just not fair because we're watching in so many different ways.
Yeah. Take me back a little bit, man. I mean, for those people who don't know, you grew up in Canton, Ohio, right? We just had Jim Jackson up here, another Ohio. Yeah, man, that was phenomenal, man. Thank you, man. But what was that like for you growing up in Canton? I mean, it wasn't easy. You had the best of both worlds in a way, because over here you had hustling, right? And then over here you had the parents. And I come from that background away. Yeah. You had your dad to keep you out of that trouble, but we could have went left, right, instead of going right. What was that like for you growing up in Canton?
I grew up lower middle class, I would say. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 3 years old, so we lived with my mom. She did a tremendous job of raising us, and my dad was about a 10-minute drive away. And I think the important, decisions that we made throughout our life came from the rules and regulations our parents instilled in us, right? Our mom worked a lot, so she was gone a lot, and it was me and my big brother, Eric. Shout out to my brother. He did a tremendous job of guiding me and keeping me right, and all of his friends in the community. And, we had, people that were doing things they weren't supposed to do and people that were. They kind of kept me away from that, understanding that we had a bigger vision, a bigger goal, and they felt like I could be successful, so they wouldn't let me do certain things. They wouldn't let me interact in certain environments, and they kind of protected me and shielded me away from that. And I'm thankful for the community I grew up in. I'm thankful for my brother, my mother, my father, the values that they've instilled in me, the appreciation that I have for hard work, sacrifice, treating people the right way, and always understanding where you come from is something that I'm extremely proud of. And I'm from Canton, Ohio, and obviously East Snow, Keith McLeod, Costa, Raymar Morgan. There's a lot of people, that came before us. Gary Grant, who I looked up to, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for those people that came before me and kind of showed me that it is possible to be a 6'3" guard. Antonio Daniels, right? Like, to be a 6'3", 6'4" guard and still have a chance to go to the NBA, like, they were like the blueprint. And I think I'm a product of my environment, man. I'm just thankful that I had the right guidance and the work ethic and the irrational confidence and self-belief and faith that I could push forward and persevere through, unusual circumstances, right? Growing up where I grew up at, going to Lehigh, all of those things, it shaped me into who I am today.
Yeah. Take me back to that guy who was sneaking in gyms to work on your free throws, man. What is your mindset at that point? Because, if I'm not mistaken, you were at Lehigh at that point. You had to sneak in the gym sometimes or come up. And so, and then you went to Lehigh, a small university out in Bethlehem, PA, right? The Eagles used to have their training camps up there. So I remember taking the trip all the way up that way. But in your mind, it was like, hey, somebody had to go pro from this university. But take me back to that times where you were sneaking into the gym. What is your mindset? What is your self-talk?
Yeah, it started in high school, honestly, and, it's a shame. I had to sneak into my own gym in high school. They would kick me out and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm just trying to get better. I'm not breaking anything. I'm really just trying to work on my game. And I told them one day, when I'm in the NBA, you guys are going to want me to come back and do stuff for this school. I'm not going to do it. And
did you change your mind?
I've done some camps there, but since then, I've kind of stepped away for a little bit because it was disrespectful. But they've since retired my brother and I's jerseys, and we've kind of mended the relationship. But I shouldn't have had to do that as a kid, and it had a lot to do with my skin color, had a lot to do with a lot of things, but it just wasn't right. On to Lehigh, that was different. I loved Lehigh. I loved the entire experience. We just were a small university, so the gym was used for different things. Wrestling, exams. So I used to sneak into the gym. I ended up getting a key. Probably shouldn't even be saying this, but I ended up getting a key, so I would let myself in, have to turn the alarms off, all that stuff, and then I would shoot, and then the janitors would see me, and they were all cool, so they would allow it. But a lot of times I would have to move chairs because we'd have exams in there. So I would move the chairs at the three-point line, free throw line, and I would pick spots and shoot from them. But when I would shoot, obviously there's chairs there, so the chairs would kind of act as the rebounder. But in my head, it was like, I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. I have this small window of time. I got 4 years, if I stay in school for 4 years, to work on my game, to take advantage of the education, obviously, but to just outwork everybody, because I always felt like someone was getting better than me if I wasn't in the gym.
Right.
I obviously went out and I lived a good life, but even on days where I would go out, right, and have fun with my friends, I would go to the gym at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and my friends will attest to it. My now wife will attest to it. I think at times she was like, he's not really going to the gym, and she would come and rebound, like, wow, he's really dedicated. My roommates, they would come back, and they might have been drinking or whatever, and I'd be like, yo, I'm about to go work out, and they were like, you're crazy, man. And I was like, I want this so bad, I'll do whatever it takes to get it, and if that means sacrificing some fun, if that means sacrificing time with family, I did it because I felt like the end goal would be worth it, and I'd be able to take care of my family, and I'd be able to take care of generations to come. And it was a big sacrifice, but I'm thankful that I did it, and I'm thankful that I just I locked in enough to get the job done.
Yeah, and here you are, man, made over $200 million in your career, right? Here you go, man, listen now, you got all the money in the world.
You put my cheese out there.
It's public information. You go to Spot Track, it's right there. Listen, all of all the reporters be tweeting it out and leaking it out now. I've been through that phase. Crazy. I found out how they do it now, so it's just public information.
That's crazy.
It's against the CBA, though. I've mentioned this. You can't.
Time's flying.
Yeah, it is, man.
Taxes are crazy.
It is.
Man.
Yeah, I know it's not the full amount because you did have to account for taxes, but here you are, man. Again, you go and you get drafted by the Blazers. Again, number one, first round pick, 10th overall, I'm not mistaken. And you go up to Portland, and I wanted to kind of name some names, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind, because you have an appreciation for a game, and I think the appreciation for the game is down. I see a lot of guys coming in the league now and they don't appreciate it. It could be because of the NIL money. They're coming in much more financially secure, so they may not have the same drive to, do it. So, but I feel like the appreciation for the game is down. You guys always get criticized. I know it's not always up to you guys not playing and such, but the appreciation is down for me. But when I was there covering that league, I saw that the appreciation was real. I saw you, I saw Dame, I saw LaMarcus, obviously being in San Antonio, and I also saw some key vets, right? And I want to name some of them. You tell me what comes to mind when you hear these names, because I feel like that's how you are today. You're a vet, and you've had to learn it from some of these guys. So the first name is Chris Kaman. One word, what comes to mind?
Ludicrous. Chris is a wild bull. He'll say anything, and he's very blunt to a fault. But I would just say that I learned so much from him, and now we actually invest together. We own some culverts together. We own some real estate together, and he's been a huge influence in my life. Ironically, from the first encounter that we've had to now, I've learned a lot from him and his approach. And talk about just a professional, right? Obviously, he's a bucket, and the meme of him laying on the chairs in LA sticks out. But just a really silly, blunt, sometimes to a fault, ludicrous human being.
Steve Blake.
Steve was fiery, man. Steve was out getting in fights, since his Maryland days, slamming water bottles. But I appreciated, his consistency, right? How he approached the game. Obviously, his assists. He could shoot the midi. Really, really good human. Strong, faith-based man, and super fiery, man. I remember YouTubing him and seeing him fighting, in college. And I was like, yo, look at this.
Yeah. Steve, and he came in the locker room, man. Steve Blake got dressed and went home. Came in and he was. You had to catch up to Steve Blake because he was with his family. He came. You would never think he was an NBA player. He came, did his job, went home. Right. He got his shower, went home. LaMarcus Aldridge, man, that vet for you. Man. He was a star at that particular time, man. But what would you learn from him?
He was just smooth, man. He was so smooth and methodical. He really always used to say, you need one move in the counter. He was like, what's your move? And I was like, I don't know. I got a bunch of moves. He was like, you need one move in the counter. And that's how he played throughout his career. Like he would, he had to bump fade and he had to get middle and he had to spin, pump fake, take the foul. And he was just a force of nature. Really, really polished, obviously. Grew and developed his game, from when he got drafted. I think he was, playing with Greg for a little bit to, the latter part of his career. He was really polished, went to San Antonio and still won. Was an MVP there. I think he scored 50 over there too. But really, really, really good basketball player. And I learned so much from just, throwing in the post and getting out the way and just asking questions. And I'm happy to see, he was able to finish his career, playing well, and now he's able to mentor his son. I actually hit him the other day just to see how he was doing it. I'm happy to see him doing well.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony.
Legendary, man. That was a really, really cool experience for me because I had known Melo for a long time from afar and had worked out alongside him in New York with Brick a lot. And I just admired his game since the beginning. Melo was my brother's favorite player, so we had Melo jersey, Melo throwbacks, and be able to play alongside him to see how much he loved basketball, how much he put into this game. One-on-one at mid-30s, still wanting to play ones all the time. The jab jumper, the fades, it was just really cool to be able to play against somebody you looked up to and watched for so long. And we drank so much wine together. It don't make no sense. And shout out to Mel. He introduced me to white burgundy. So
yeah, nice.
Shout out to Mel.
Darrell Wright.
The right way. I think he just West Coast, man. My real experience with a West Coast dude, so West Coast, man. Pro out of high school, used to dunk on folks, then became a sniper. Kind of the transformation of just being funny, being laid back, but just being a really good dude, man. They took good care of me, man. I learned a lot from them, and being able to play against his brother too, just seeing the family dynamics of how his brother went to Utah and how he got to the league. That's a really good human, man. Really good human.
Yeah. What's CJ McCollum like in business, man? You just said you had your wine business. Obviously you got some real estate with Chris Kaman and things of that nature. But
shout out to Pat Connaughton too. Me and
that's
Pat
right. Pat Connaughton. That's right.
Yeah.
He was the one of the guys that did a lot of real estate up that way.
Yeah. So Pat and I got some really good projects together. We started with student housing, college campuses, and we got some single family, multifamily, and we're doing some really cool, unique things together. But you're talking about we had so many steam room conversations about real estate, what types of loans you should be getting, how do you approach the banks
Is he one of those guys that really put you on that real estate? Because it sounds like Pat is like into the real estate.
2016, I would say we started buying real estate in like 2016, 17, but I started doing projects with Pat probably 2018, 17, 18, and we've done some projects together. We've had some success. We did this project outside Notre Dame's campus, like 400 feet off Notre Dame's campus, and I was really excited because I love doing projects.
Housing?
Yeah, housing. It was mixed use. So there was, I don't know, call it 12 units on one side that we did for housing, and then it was mixed use. So we were well positioned to either 98, 99% occupancy on one side, and then I think we partnered with a major corporation, but we ended up selling the property. But long story short, I learned a lot from Pat just in his approach. This man has his own office, his own business. I think he's up to 15 employees. He's doing really well, and his dad taught him a lot about real estate. But those steam room conversations, like we had me, him, Chris Kamen, Ed Davis, we had Dame. We had so many conversations just throughout about business and structure and finance and long-term planning. So I'm happy to see that, but I went on a tangent, but I just wanted to say shout out to my guy, Pat.
Nah, man, that's Pat. I've seen a lot of real estate up that way. I didn't know that he had such an influence.
He's got like a $500 million portfolio with his company.
I know.
He's doing really well.
I did not know, actually. I mean, I did not know that until I see all the projects he's doing.
He's doing well.
Yeah,
doing well.
I mean, you have any stable coin? Are you into crypto? Like, what else you got going on?
A little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Bitcoin. I bought some of the other, the ones that were hit or miss, but just in conversations, I was just like, you know what? I wouldn't suggest people going heavy into this, but if you have some money that you wouldn't mind losing, then it's something to kind of explore. It's obviously very volatile. It's up and down, but it's something that I think is a part of our future. I think there's ways in which, blockchain and all those things allows for us to, I think, similar to what you talked about in one of your other interviews, like paper is going away.
Yeah, Jim Jackson.
Paper is going away. Like, obviously it's card heavy right now. You can even do the little scan thing on our phones now. Like, it's going away. Currency is shifting and it's changing, and it's just about being able to catch the wave at the right time. But my brother bought Bitcoin back in 2016, and he was like, you need to do it. And I was like, no. And then I waited, and it rose, and it rose. And Myers Leonard was telling me to get it, and I didn't. And I missed out on a nice come up, but I got in.
Yeah, you finally got in. When did you buy your first Bitcoin?
What year?
Yeah. If I wasn't back then, obviously.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, so around 2019-ish.
Not soon enough.
Right, yeah, of course not soon enough. Everybody would have gotten in if they'd known it was going to be that. Hindsight couldn't have told you.
But my brother literally was like, you have to do this. And he was like, yo, you need to do it. And I was like busy, and then COVID was about to hit. And I was like, all right. I put some money to the side, like let me just throw a couple at this and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you 3 years late, but
I know you beat yourself up over it too, man. I sold my first house, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't have done that. It would have been a cash flow right now, so I beat myself over it too. But I didn't know. I didn't know the COVID pandemic was going to hit and all that stuff was going to happen. But if PJ Tucker collects sneakers, what does CJ McCollum collect for a hobby?
No, I mean, I'm just putting together memories right now, man. I'm collecting memories and happy moments and.
So none of that, nothing.
I don't collect sneakers. I mean, wine. I got a lot of wine.
But that's your business too.
Yeah, it's like R&D, and then we have 2 off-site sellers in Oregon.
Did you buy Greg Popovich's A to Z because he sold it? Or were you one of the buyers?
No, I was not one of the buyers.
Did you offer? Did you try to buy it?
No, we have 318 acres. I don't need more land. I got 56 acres.
Can I set up a crib over there, man? You gonna sell right 318 acres?
we carved out, a good 30 acres to.
Yeah. All up in Oregon.
Yeah, we're in Carlton, Oregon. We border Resonance, which is one of Louis Jadot's first property in the United States. We bordered that. They saved us about, we can call it $100,000 on fencing because they already had it fenced in. So
well, how's the wine business? Like, is it, everybody's in it now. Everybody got their own drink.
Everybody's in it at a different level. Obviously, we have the land. So we basically play farmers, right? So we grow our own fruit. We sell fruit. We also, bottle our fruit and sell it. So we're direct to consumer, but also wholesale. Wholesale in Louisiana, getting distribution in Texas, California, Then we'll go the Carolinas, and then East Coast is probably 90 to 100 days away. But this is a passion. This is something that my family and I really enjoy. This is a legacy play. Obviously, we have the land, we have the water rights, so we can kind of grow this business and really treat it the way that we want to treat it. But it's just something that brings us joy, it brings us happiness, it brings us moments and memories. And I always say you've never had a bad time with wine, right? You may have bad wine, but it wasn't a bad time, and you create really great moments. And for us, it's about family, it's about love. It's something that my wife and I can do together. And if you, like, people always say it, like, if you want to get in the wine business, it's not to make money, right? Like, there's ways in which you can make money, and it comes over time. And obviously, depending on how you do it, that's direct-to-consumer margins are better. You get into wholesale, and it's kind of diluting your price a little bit. But there's fun ways to do it. But for us, it's about the passion. Obviously, we'll get into making money a little bit later, but it's about the passion. It's about creating a great product and a great experience for people. And we truly just enjoy the process of being in this space together and creating fun moments for families. We did a really cool cooking exercise where we had an event where I actually cooked alongside Chef D at the Southern Food and Beverage Museum in
Where was my invite?
You weren't going to come.
I was going to come. What are you talking about?
We're actually going to be doing an event on our property in August. You should come.
I will be. That's Black Business Month.
You could do a save the date. It'll be towards the latter part of August. We'll do like a 40-person dinner. Yeah, it'll be the first event that we have on our property.
I got to stop back up there, man. I haven't been in Oregon in a minute, and I got friends up there. I want to stop past departure, and so I definitely want to stop back up there, man. Well, listen, we got a brother here, man. Dante Bell has a company called V-Real, right? And another great entrepreneur. We had him at the BLK Summit. You didn't know him. He walks up to you and he wants to pitch you an idea. Like, what do you want to hear from, entrepreneurs who have this business plan or have a plan in general, and they want to maybe get you an investor? What do you want to hear from them? What trait do you want to see?
I look at the person, like, how hungry are they, right? Are they ponying off the work? Are they doing it themselves? Obviously, what's the burn rate? All of those things associated with the finances in the business. Is it profitable? What's the cash flow? What's the projections? But I'm investing in people now. Like, there's products, there's things, everybody's got these competitions as this new idea, this new invention, this thing that's just gonna make money. But I'm investing in people. Like, it's like this saying, like, you're getting in bed with a person, right? Like, what is your track record? How much does this mean to you? How much are you sleeping? What time do you wake up? What is your daily practice, your daily schedule? I think all of those things kind of matter and kind of determines whether or not you're going to have success based on the person that you're investing in.
Yeah. One word to name your business empire, right? When it's all said and done, and CJ McCollum has his thing built, you got a wine business, you got some real estate with Pat Connaughton, we put you on the cover of Forbes because maybe you're a billionaire through the real estate, like Junior Brisbane. Like, when it's all said and done, what's the one word you want your real estate or your business empire to be?
Oh, man. One word. Timeless.
Timeless. You sound like Coco Gauff. She said the same thing. Timeless.
Maybe I pick another word.
Oh, yeah.
Timeless. What's something that someone had? Tell me what they said so I can say something completely different. So you got timeless. You got, generational. You got thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Why thoughtful?
Because I think we can do so many things now, right? Like, with our status in society, obviously being professional athletes, things are getting thrown our way. But now it's about thoughtfully approaching things that really mean something to me, right? Time is not infinite, right? I mean, obviously, Junior, may he rest in peace. We've all learned a lot from him, and just seeing what he was able to build, how he was able to build it, and we're all curating our lives, and we don't know when our life is going to end. So we have to really maximize these moments and be thoughtful with how we're spending our time. And I think our approach and my family's approach right now to things are, we can figure out ways to make more money, but you can't make more time.
No. You can't at all, man. And speaking of time, here we are. We're sitting. Juneteenth is right around here. Right, it's right here. What does that holiday mean to you? I was just talking off camera. It doesn't feel like Juneteenth.
It doesn't feel like a holiday.
It doesn't feel like a holiday. Like, it doesn't feel like a holiday at all, especially in this time. But what does it mean to you, Juneteenth, now that we're here?
I mean, understanding the history of it, I think it should be celebrated, but I think we're a little late on the celebration. Like, we just now started recognizing this, in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
It feels like in the last 5 years. So I think for us, it's always important to know your history, to understand your history. And I think, obviously, the times are changing and they're trying to take certain things out of the history books. But for us, it's about recognizing the changes and the advancements that we've been able to make as a people, but also understanding that we have a long way to go. not only in society, but in the ways in which we think and do things.
Yeah, yeah. As we wrap it up here, man, getting some more fun stuff now. Million dollar question. I think I know how you made your first million. I kind of got a little hint how you made it, right? How'd you spend it?
I mean, it was over time. My checks were small, man. I mean, small in scale.
Get out of here, man. You forget I covered you in Portland. You don't tell me about that.
Small in scale to like what the rookies make now. So like think about, it's a lot of money, right? Let's say I was making $2 million after taxes, let's call it $950, $970, agency fees, 4%, marketing 15%. Like those checks were chopped down. Like I was living off of like an energy drink deal. I was living off like I had a $12,000 deal like to just like get some post off, and I lived off of that. So like the check that came, my rent was like $3,200, which is a lot for 2013 now that I look at it. But I had a 4-bedroom house. It was like $2,700 a month in rent. I bought my mom a white Mercedes-Benz CLA 250. That was like 56 grand. I bought the CLA 45 AMG. I call it
the red one. Yeah.
Small baby Benz. And it took me like 7 years to pay it off because I was just making payments to build my credit. But that was like $62,000. And then I leased a car. I think I leased a car from my dad, but that was it. Like I bought a little bit of clothes, and then I wore, at the time I was with Nike, I was wearing Jordans, and Marquise was my rep. Shout out to my guy Marquise. I was just wearing,
and you just banked the rest of the NBA money.
Yeah, I didn't.
Is that what you would tell young guys coming in nowadays, the salary? Because Jim said the same thing almost. A whole bunch of players say, bank the money that you're getting from paychecks, the league paychecks, and only spend the endorsement money.
Well, I had a fear and a paranoia that I was going to go broke. Like I always just feared, like everybody goes broke, so I was just like, I'm not going to spend money. I bought like a $6,000 chain, like a big cross, but that was really it. I was afraid. Yeah. I went to school for 4 years. I learned about finances and balancing a checkbook, and I was like, I have everything that I need and most of what I've ever wanted. I'll go on vacation. My now wife, girlfriend at the time, we went to Hawaii or something like that, and I spent like less than $10,000, and that's first class flights, that's food, that's hotel. I was using points from my card to like pay for stuff. This trip here, I used points.
To come to New York, you use points
for the trip and for the stay, and they gave me $450 in food and beverage for my trip.
Wow.
So it's like I utilize the resources around me. I get nice things.
Yeah.
I buy nice things that I need, and then I take advantage of everything else. But I would give a different level of advice now because these kids are millionaires already, like 16, 17 getting NIL. So you need the right type of financial advisor. You need the right types of resources to kind of help you save. You need to project, like, okay, this is my income now. The budget that we have in place now for my family and I is the same budget that I had when I signed my first extension in 2016. We pretended that I was never going to make another dollar for the rest of my life. And then I signed another extension, and then I signed another extension. And we've just pretended as if none of this money was ever going to come, and we're living as if that first extension is all we have left. And I think it's just understanding your purpose, your why. What do you want to leave behind legacy-wise? And then buy things because you should.
Yeah.
Take advantage of this life because you can't take it with you. So do nice things, go on trips, take care of your family, but be reasonable with your expectations as to how long this is going to last because the money doesn't last forever. And you got to build your portfolio so that you can live off the interest.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. Agentic AI, right? And I know you wouldn't change anything. That philosophy is perfect. So I usually ask, how would you regret anything? But you don't regret nothing. Agentic AI, you hear that phrase, what comes to mind for you? Agentic AI, the ability for computers to do everything without any human supervision almost.
It's like, it almost reminds me of like how the game has changed. Everything is computers, analytics. Like you still need people to do stuff. You need the feeling, you need the emotion, the exchange. You can create a robot, but it's still not a human. It doesn't have the human qualities. So it's like, at some point, you still need people to do things. Obviously, automation and the ability to mass produce and do some of the things, it's really important, but you still need that human connection, that human emotion, and these are just jobs that people are losing. So they got to be careful with the crossroads of, we've seen too many movies of bad things happening from too much automation and too many robots. And they talk about the toys, right? Like the toys becoming like automated and like all this stuff. Like now we're getting like, it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, listen, I could spend all day with you here, but you got to go. And you have more. I'm sure you got the points to get back home today, right, on your flight. But I'll get you out of here on this, man. Jim Collins is always, my favorite business book, Good to Great. What's the difference between a good NBA pro and a great one?
I think good to great. There's a lot of good players in the league, but I think the great ones, the difference between the great ones is consistency over long periods of time, right? Excellence at a high level, elite, whether that's shot making, defense, whether that's being in shape, taking care of your body. It's the great ones are willing to sacrifice more than the good ones. And by sacrifice, I mean it takes a lot to be great. It takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of time away from your family. Look at LeBron. He's talked about it. What time does he get to the arena? What type of work does he do when no one is watching? Like, someone told us, Mario Chalmers told a story about Bron icing in the club. I've seen Bron ice in the club.
Put ice on his knees in the club?
I've seen it. There's a different level of dedication that it takes to be successful, and the great ones will do whatever it takes. You talk about Tiger, Peyton Manning, you look at Drew Brees, you look at like the great Serena, Venus. They sacrifice Mike, like they sacrifice a lot to be great. It takes time away from your family. It takes discipline, waking up early, like missing stuff from your kids. Like it takes a lot to be great. And obviously you have to have the skill set and the mentality. So I would say the good players, like they have skills or whatever, but there's just like another level mentally that you have to be able to kick it, like tap into. And their ability to focus and like turn on the switch is just, it's different. It's like, it's hard to explain, but like I've worked out with like Kay, I worked out with Bron, like the lock-in is like, it's crazy. Like their ability to like, the switch, it's like,
yeah,
it's unlike anything you'll ever see. And I think there's a lot of good players in all sports, but the great ones, it's just something different that you see. And it's like, or like Kobe, may he rest in peace. He had an aura and like a psycho mentality of just like obsessive behavior when it came to preparation and the sport. And he was just like infatuated with being great and would do whatever it takes. And I think that's just like a difference in the DNA and the anatomy of the body and then how it's like wired and programmed. It's not for everybody.
No.
It's really not.
No. Well, I could say you're great, man. I mean, seeing your journey, covering some of it, man. Thank you so much for the time and the work that you put in to show what it takes to be a great NBA player and a great NBA pro. Coming all the way from Canton, Ohio, not promised anything, going out and getting it at Lehigh, still getting drafted in the first round, making over $200 million in your career. You owe me some of it because all those good articles I wrote on you, man. Look, they was watching, right? CJ McCollum, man, thank you so much, my brother. You got to come back. You got to promise to come back. We got to do this more often.
I will come back, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing some really cool wine stuff down the road, and would love to come out and get you some wine. And
yeah, let's do it.
Do some really cool things here in the city.
Yeah, let's do it. CJ McCollum here on the Enterprise Zone at the Nasdaq. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening.